Today, we have an inside look at a family-friendly Texas drag show. Beto O'Rourke comes down with a mysterious infection, and Karine Jean-Pierre thinks you are all fascists. We've got all of that and more coming up, and it all starts right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sara Gonzales. It's going to be a fun one today. We've got Chad Prather, my best friend, also host of the Chad Prather Show.
Oh, you say that now. Kissing up.
What did I do?
Best friend.
What?
Talk to me like mud during the breaks.
Oh my gosh. This you are.
People
you know
need
what?
to see behind the scenes. You're not a nice person.
Tell everyone
And so it starts
wrong.
like this. It
Tell
starts
everyone
like
he's
this.
wrong. Matthew Marsden, of course, actor and producer. Please set the record straight,
No,
Matt.
you're a wonderful person.
Chad's a
She's
horrible
been sitting here
liar.
telling Matt how wonderful he is. And
I
I'm like,
see.
good, I'm trying to
we
compete with
haven't
this
seen
handsomeness.
each other. We haven't seen each other for a
Yes.
long time.
Yes.
What's
Matt's
up?
busier than we are doing
Guys,
like important
fun
stuff.
Good stuff.
So speaking of fun stuff, which I actually mean ironically because it was not fun, yesterday there was a family-friendly drag show in Roanoke, Texas. This is just down the road from where we are located right now, about 30 minutes from my own home. This was at Anderson Distillery. This is a new restaurant and bar. And I thought to myself, you know what? Someone needs to be there. Someone needs to expose it. I didn't know if anyone else had plans, and this is my thing. This is my big thing, protecting our children. If we don't, clearly their own parents are not going to do it. And so I showed up. I met Taylor Hanson there eventually, who is just
I did not know that was Taylor when I saw that picture.
looking lovely in the red wig and mask. And of course, you can't see that he is wearing a dress. So looking lovely, trying to blend in. And the sights that we saw, let me just tell you, you know what? Let's just play the drag queen. This is myself and Taylor's footage that we spliced together to show everyone what we witnessed yesterday. Watch. Those of you who are watching on podcast, this is a very large drag queen. There's a little girl on her tablet, clearly uncomfortable, isn't watching. Drag queen taking dollar bills from everyone. The girl still not watching. Oh, here's a drag queen embracing a young girl, taking a photo with her. Oh, here's another one getting tipped and embracing. Oh, good. The drag queen used to teach. That's great. That's wonderful. So, by the way, public school teacher sitting right next to me, if any of your children are in Keller ISD, let me tell you, you've got a real problem because this particular event was full of Keller ISD teachers who all organized to go to this event. They were looking very much forward to it. What I found peculiar was the teacher that was sitting next to me that befriended me. He seemed, perfectly wonderful, other than the fact that he's for child grooming, I guess. But his name was Ethan, and he worked for Keller ISD, and he is married, but his wife wasn't there. He just decided to show up at a drag show for children on his own. Am I off base in saying that's a little bit of a red flag?
Totally not weird.
Not weird at all.
Totally not weird.
Not weird at all. That's what I do on my Sunday afternoon.
Is it?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No, it's not actually. There's so much wrong with this. And I want to remind everybody, when you see this, you see these people all glammed up and doing this stuff, dancing around. These are men in dresses. These are men dressed up like women. This is the ultimate, in my opinion, maybe not the ultimate, but it's close to it, objectification of what a woman is. This is, you're all about your makeup, you're all about what you wear, you're all about your breast, you're all about your genitalia. That's what makes up a woman, and anybody can be that. That's wrong in and of itself. But then when you're out there, basically, I don't know if the right word is cosplaying, or you're doing these things that is imitating what happens in a strip club, where you're collecting dollars and and then you're getting up on a pole. And we saw the first one that came out. There wasn't a pole available, so he made himself, availed himself to the railing out there and jumped up on the thing to move provocatively in this way. These are children. These are children. I'm done using the word hypersexualizing children. Any sexualization of children is hyper. That doesn't need to happen. You've got teachers that were in attendance. There were more than the one you just mentioned. There were multiples. And so, again, I get pretty fired up when I see stuff like this. And there's a lot to this story. We unpack a lot of it in my show. So if you're watching this one, stay tuned for after.
Yeah.
But wow.
Yeah, we were able to get way more in-depth on the Chad Prather show tonight. Matt, it just, something about the term family-friendly drag show just really...
rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just doesn't sit well with me. We talk about all of this normalization that the left is trying to do with anything and everything sexual deviancy-wise and perversion, and they want to normalize it and make it okay. And I think the idea that just because you have men dressing up as women, but they are more clothed, and the lyrics to the songs aren't explicit, there's no foul language, that the idea that you can take your young children to go see grown men dressing up in dresses like women and wearing makeup, that in itself is somehow family friendly and acceptable to do to young children.
No, it's an oxymoron. Right?
Yeah.
Family friendly drag show is an oxymoron. There's so many things to unpack, like you say, about this. Like, number one, where are all the men? Like, where are the dads, right?
They're there.
I saw some of them, right? So what kind of a man are you that you will take your child to this? You will go to this anyway. I mean, there's something so wrong mentally with that. Now, and also, if you look at, you're talking about the teachers, please take your kids out of these schools. Please take them out.
Yes.
Put them either homeschool. You can do it. It's something, in the UK. I actually think the homeschooling is legal in the UK. But so it's something that I never knew of until I came in. My kids, up until they went to a Christian school, were homeschooled. So it's vital that you know what your kids are doing and who are the people that are teaching you, because it's not like it used to be. This used to be a vocation. People used to love kids. All you got to do is spend 5 minutes on Libs of TikTok, and that's enough to make sure that you never send your kids to a state school ever again. And this is why, Governor Abbott, please, school choice, that would be really awesome, right? I mean, these are things that parents really need to get engaged with. It's not a joke anymore. And Texas, I just came from California to get away from this.
Right.
Like, what is going on? Please be engaged.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Matt, because not only, again, were there way too many public school teachers talking about you, calling you a right-wing nut job, saying that all of you right-wingers have infiltrated the school boards. That's what they called it, as if that's not what they had been doing for the last 10 or 15 years. You've been infiltrating the school boards, and they cannot believe that you as a parent think that you have the right to say what this teacher is allowed to teach your children. These are the conversations that I heard with my own ears that they are having. So the idea that you don't think that it could happen in somewhere like Texas is quite preposterous. But I want to get to what you just said about being engaged, because there were a lot of problems about what happened yesterday. But the biggest one that I saw was that the protesters, I mean, God bless them for trying. Let me tell you, armed Antifa handily outnumbered them. I mean, like that, at one point, I think we saw 60 Antifa on the scene. Not all of them were armed, but they were there in support of this business, of this organization. A handful of protesters on the other side. And of course, there were the scuffles back and forth. But I thought to myself, how in the world is it possible that nobody thought to organize, to go inside, to spread out, to infiltrate the event, to decide that they are going to, one person's going to disrupt every 10 minutes, right? This person over here, they'll get kicked out. You're not going to go to jail. They'll kick you out of their establishment and they'll say you're not welcome to come back. The next person, 10 minutes later, do the same damn thing. And if you make this show so unenjoyable for everyone because they know that people from their community will show up and speak out and shut it down, they won't do it anymore. And you know what? Some of you might be saying like, well, that's rude. We don't want to do that. Well, you know what? The left has done it and look where we've gotten.
You know, there's a lot of apathy in Texas. I hate to say it. So when I moved here, you know, when I moved here, I'd be sitting around with really great friends of mine, great people, and I'd be like, hey, listen, it's coming here. Like, you don't understand. Like, it's coming. Like, this is the crown jewel. This is what they're coming for. They're coming for Texas. They're coming for Florida, right? They're coming for these states that are standing up for something. And they're kind of, oh, yeah, okay, well, I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, you have to get involved right now. The tentacles are already out there. And if a drag show in Dallas, right, where they're objectifying kids, and you have to understand that it's past being reasonable anymore. Like, this isn't, it's not about just, oh yeah, they can do their thing and we'll do ours and we can coexist. It's not about that. They want in your life. They want to get to your kids.
And at this particular event yesterday in Roanoke, which that's on the Fort Worth side of Dallas-Fort Worth, which is alarming in and of itself if you know anything about the DFW Metroplex. But there were hundreds of people in the overflow room trying to get a peek in there of what was going on. So they far outnumbered. I mean, they're rallying the troops in a big way to make these big events and push back. And obviously, the word is getting out about protesters that are coming out there. The protesters, unfortunately, even their methods are not good. And you to the point where you've got armed Antifa out there escorting people to and from their cars as well as standing guard, you know. Taylor Hansen had to go in disguise because he's easily recognizable by these people. Yeah.
I mean, it just, again, it's hard to imagine, like, if this doesn't make you realize, look, you're busy, okay? I get it. I'm busy too. I'm a mom of 2 young children who, by the way, don't sleep at all, so I don't get a lot of downtime here. And I not only do this for a living, full-time, Monday through Friday, I also run 3 companies. So I understand busy. I don't understand being too busy to get up off your asses to decide that you are going to make the time to show up and make sure that this is not a successful event in the community. It just boggles my mind. And the fact that I didn't see a group of dads in that community say, you know what, this is BS and we're not going to stand for it, and go up there and make their voices heard is absolutely unfathomable to me. The only dads I saw were...
And this stuff is readily available to see. I mean, first, what is it, Christian Church in Katy, Texas, the pastor, quote unquote, is hosting a family-friendly drag event at the church on September 25th. I mean, at what point in time are we going to stand up to that? I mean, we ought to overwhelmingly show up to these events and say this is not going to happen like this.
Yeah, so can you repeat that date information?
September 25th, 5 p.m., First Christian Church, Katy, Texas. I think I said September 25th. That's right. So this stuff's going down. It's happening. I mean, you know, what we're trying to do is proactively get involved at this point right now where it doesn't happen at all.
Right. So show up, okay? Because don't just expect that someone else is gonna fight the fight for you. If you continue expecting someone else to fight the fight for you, we're gonna lose everything. I'm not trying to be an alarmist, but I do want to play one more thing for you here, because this was one of the more disgusting things that was witnessed. This is from the organization Protect Texas Kids. And here is a woman who's trying to, show affection for her son. Her son's clearly pulling away, very uncomfortable. She's engaging in back and forths with the protesters, telling him that he doesn't need to worry about the protesters. And then she has him flip them off. And then she flips them off, and then she tries to kiss him, and he very, very viscerally reacts and pulls away. It gets worse than that, though, because after she left, she drove past the protesters and exposed her breast and shook it in front of them with her child in the front seat of the car.
Expose your fascism. You're fascist. And all of you people are all fascists. You ugly lunatic.
So let me just tell you, you don't want to see the uncensored version of that, okay? You want none of the floppiness that is in the uncensored version of that. But her son, right there in the car, he looks to be, what would you guys say, 12?
13, 14 at the most, yeah.
Her teen son, I mean, if you don't see that and think that something is horribly wrong in this community, I'm not sure.
And let me express, too, there were people who came from far away to get to this. Who were participating in this thing on their side of things. They weren't just people in Roanoke or from Roanoke. There were a lot of people that traveled to get there.
Yeah, because you know why? Because they show up to support their cause.
They do.
And we don't.
That is the point.
And if you think, think about for a second the thought process that went through that woman's brain, if you can call it that. She's driving along, she's flipped people off, she stops, she exposes her breast. Like, what does that do? Like, what does that do? What is that? I mean, what are you trying to express? What are you trying to? Is that? Oh, I got you. Yeah. These people are not well.
No,
seriously, they're not well. It really is. We have a massive mental illness problem, and we have a huge father problem. That's what we have. We have the fall of Western civilization is squarely at the feet of weak men.
Yes, absolutely. I promise you those men have more estrogen in their bodies than I do. The ones that were inside the venue, watching, clapping as grown men blew kisses to their daughters and sons, collected money from them, and hugged and embraced their young children. Well, they just smiled. It's all happening. Oh, we're such a good time. Yeah, ballless men. And it's about darn time for real men to stand up and speak out against this. All right, we've got to take a quick break. First, we want to thank our sponsor, Moink. So I don't know if you guys realize this, like 60% of United States pork production comes from one company. They're owned by the Chinese, and their hogs are given something called ractopamine, which is, I don't know, just banned in 160 countries, including China, but you're going to find it in your grocery aisle every day. Yay, FDA. We love them. That is why you need Moink. Moink gives you grass-fed and grass-finished beef and lamb, pastured pork. They've got chicken. They've got salmon. All of it they're going to deliver directly to your door. You're going to choose the meat delivered in every box so you can make sure that it is something that you love and you can cancel anytime. We love Moink over at our house. My 10-year-old is obsessed with their bacon. He requests it on a daily basis. We go through a lot of it, all right, because at 10, they're growing. And I'm like, boy, I've given you enough bacon and ribeyes for the day. I think you're good. You can go to moinkbox.com/news right now. You will get free filet mignon in every order for a year. Do not sleep on this. I said free filet mignon for a year if you go to moinkbox.com/news. That is MOINK box.com/news. Breaking news. Just yesterday, Robert Francis O'Rourke announced that he would be pausing his gubernatorial campaign due to contracting a mysterious infection. Now, you may be thinking, oh no, we know who he hangs around. Does he have monkeypox? Well,
Bathhouse Beto.
He says it's bacterial, so I guess maybe we can count monkeypox out. I'm not so sure.
Obnoxiousness is not an infection, okay?
I don't know, but he tweeted out, after feeling ill on Friday, I went to Methodist Hospital in San Antonio where I was diagnosed with a bacterial infection. The extraordinary team there, from custodians to nurses and doctors, gave me excellent care and attention, including IV antibiotics and rest. While my symptoms have improved, I will be resting at home in El Paso in accordance with the doctor's recommendations. I'm sorry to have had to postpone events because of this, but promise to be back on the road with you as soon as I am able.
I mean, what's he got, a UTI? What are we working on?
Well, that's why I'm like, bacterial infection that would have left you so ill that you needed to go. I mean, are we talking, is syphilis a bacteria? What is,
I mean,
what's going on?
Well, it's got to happen. Bacterial infections have got to come through a cut or an orifice. I mean, something's got to enter your body. So, I mean, this goes a lot of ways here. And men typically don't get UTIs unless they've been, doing things that they shouldn't be doing. And that doesn't.
I mean,
and I'm
look,
just talking about like if you have multiple partners or something like that, I mean, a guy might get a UTI, but what are we talking about?
I understand people's right to privacy, but I feel like we need more information.
I feel like
don't know.
I'm owed this right now.
I'm kind of okay with absolutely no more information. Thank you very much. I want
Matt,
no more.
where's your sense of adventure,
There's
dude? I
images
love
in-
that. I love that British modesty, bro. But no, I need to know.
There's these, I've got these mental
the comic
images
side
now,
of me's
dude,
gotta
and it's
know.
like, oh, I feel like I need a shower or something.
Oh my God! I want to.
I need to know what's up.
Speaking of his campaign
Literally.
and talking about how the left is trying to, radicalize Texas and get it to turn blue with, of course, Robert Francis O'Rourke. There is a video that was highlighted by RNC Research over on Twitter that showed Beto refusing to support any limits on abortion, even partial birth abortions. This is how radical they are. Watch.
As governor of Texas, would you allow for any restriction on abortion, including an up to partial birth abortion?
Here's the way that I approach this issue. Listening to Dr. Barelli, Dr. Kumar, these extraordinary women who have just shared their stories. I trust women and their doctors to make their decisions about their body, about their health care, and about their future. I think that is the best, smartest, most constitutional and most American Texan approach to this issue. And that's the way that I would approach it as well.
Interesting, because I seem to recall in our founding documents that there is a very clear right to life, which I would assume doesn't involve your heart being stopped by a syringe being injected into you and your skull being crushed and you being vacuumed out of your mother's womb because she's a horrible person. I just feel like the right to life probably encompasses that.
So much for do no harm. I mean, these guys will do anything to get power. Anything. They'll say anything. They'll believe anything. Apparently, they'll murder people, including the unborn. I mean, they don't care what they're going to do and say they're going to pander. And look, I'm not proud of Greg Abbott either, even though he's on the Republican side of things.
But dear God, please go vote for him.
But please vote for him. I mean, you got to. I mean, this is the level of atrocity that we're trying to justify in our minds, that you're willing to, halfway birth a baby and then suck their brains out before they're fully born. I mean, this is insanity that we're talking about. And people, they use these terms that are so sterile to justify it, and it's not abortion, it's murder. It's like, how many babies to the altar of Moloch can we sacrifice at this point in time to get this bloodlust out of our way? I mean, million babies a year that we're talking about, and this guy's willing to just throw the doors wide open. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Planned Parenthood has a kill rate of 50%. I mean, they're batting 500. Two people walk in, one person walks out. They're pretty consistent on the way this ratio works here. And his guy right here, running for office to be the executive, the CEO of the state of Texas, is saying, well, have at it.
Yeah.
Words matter, right?
They sure do.
The left controls narrative always, and we're just terrible at it.
Right.
And I think I've said this before. I hate the word pro-life and pro-choice. Like,
Agreed.
it's ridiculous. You've got to stop that. And why no one's just said, you know what, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to say this is pro-murder.
Yeah.
Because did you see? He actually didn't say it, did he? He didn't
Right.
say. He was like, well, he did a typical
wouldn't answer the
politician,
question.
like squirmy answer, like I'm really not going to commit on this. But what he's really saying is, yeah, I'm for everything. Okay, so if you're so proud of it, lay it out.
Yep.
This is what we need to start saying. Say, tell us what, no. Tell me exactly what you mean, not some kind of ridiculous, nebulous answer. We want to know what you really mean and what this means for us, right? And we have to take the narrative back. Again, conservatives are totally complacent because they think that the best ideas are always going to win. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
It doesn't. You got to fight for it. Right, we went through 2 world wars because of this, right? Because you have to go and fight for liberty, and you have to fight for what's right. And like we said as well, don't think it's not going to come to Texas. There's a reason why. I mean, this guy he has no character. I mean, the thing that I love about this is he tries to pass himself as some kind of Hispanic name, and nobody calls him on it, right? He needs to be hammered on that every day. That's appropriation, right? Like, why aren't we more active about calling people on this? There's a swear jar. I'm not going to say it.
But you thought it.
On
You still
this
put
ball.
nickel.
Darn it. thought crime. But why aren't we more engaged on these things and just calling these people? And it's not that hard. Every time they say something, just come back and even on social media, blah blah blah. Well, what do you mean? You got to be engaged. Everyone has to be engaged. You can't just leave it to people like you and like you who go out there and put themselves out and get death threats and all this. If everyone's involved, if everyone steps up,
that's right.
then it becomes
It's
become
gonna be
less of a target.
It's going to be uncomfortable. But Matt, you know what? People don't even want to think anymore. You brought it up earlier, talking about critical thinking. We were talking off air. People don't critically think anymore. Why? Because that's uncomfortable. They're certainly not going to get out of their comfort zone and off their couch on Sunday afternoon when football's on the TV in the fall and go out there and deal with these things. That's the problem we have. And by the way, O'Rourke is an infection. It just keeps coming back.
It is true. I'm hoping that maybe the trifecta of failures will prevent him from ever showing his face again.
I don't believe in anything anymore. This ain't a shoe-in.
I know.
You said it earlier. The Texans have gotten so lethargic and just passive on everything.
I know. It's really sad to see. So speaking of Robert Francis O'Rourke, we want to thank our sponsor, Sweatblock, because I can't think of anyone who needs Sweatblock more than Beto O'Rourke.
That is a greasy dude.
So you look at these pictures of him, and he's got like the gigantic sweat stains under his arms in the one blue button-up shirt that he owns, because there's only one. It's the same one that he wears every single time.
This stuff works so well, this sweat block, that it actually concerns me. I'll put it on and I won't sweat for 10 days. It's amazing. I'm like, something about this ain't right.
You're like, but
it works.
But I love it, and I'm going to keep doing it.
It works.
So they've got the wipes. They've got regular deodorants and stuff for you to try, but the wipes are where it's at, because as Chad said, you can wear them like up to 7 days. They say that you can stop sweating, which is a big deal here in Texas because it's 10 billion degrees. Not only does Chad, use Sweatblock, but
and I sweat a lot.
My husband does as well. Whoa, my husband is really sweaty.
Yeah.
But not anymore.
You put a dress shirt on, and it's like, boom, there's my nipples. I just sweat right on through it. Like I went to a wet t-shirt contest. That sweat stuff works.
So, and by the way, you don't have to worry because you've got a ton of pores in your body, and because people are
you
like,
sweat other places.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, but isn't that dangerous to not sweat? You're still going to get the sweat out. It's just not going to all be concentrated and make you embarrassed.
You'll perspire.
You can go to sweatblock.com, use promo code NEWS. You'll get 20% off over at sweatblock.com, promo code NEWS. Last week, Joe Biden said at a midterms fundraiser that MAGA Republicans are semi-fascist. Well, Karine Jean-Pierre, the lovely and beautiful White House press secretary, the greatest example of how affirmative action is a total and complete failure, was asked about this comment, and she, of course, doubled down in support of Joe Biden's remarks. Watch.
On the semi-fascism comment,
Yeah.
is this something we're going to hear more of, that phrase? Is it something the president's going to kind of embrace? Or is there any sense that it was, a little impromptu and it's going to turn into a kind of basket of deplorables thing that he regrets and tries to be quiet about?
Look, I was very clear when laying out and defining what MAGA Republicans have done, and you look at the definition of fascism, and you think about what they're doing in attacking our democracy, what they're doing in taking away our freedoms, wanting to take away our rights, our voting rights. I mean, that is what that is. It is very clear, and that's why he made that powerful speech.
Oh,
she's a moron.
Man, when I think of Joe Biden making speeches, I always think powerful.
Yeah.
That's like the number one adjective that I like to use is powerful, because, woo, boy, can he speak at all. I just want to set the record straight here, give some perspective. The definition of fascism is a system of government marked by centralization of authority under a dictator, a capitalist economy subject to stringent governmental controls, violent suppression of the opposition, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism. Now, I can't think of anything that describes the left, actually, better than all of these, parts of the definition.
Look at what they're doing just in the simple fact of labeling.
Right.
People who are, quote, Trump supporters or anybody with a conservative value system or political philosophy. The labeling thing, that's step one, right? Identifying, labeling, then they categorize you, they put you in the box, they shelve you away until they need to deal with you, whatever way they want to deal with you. That, you know, most people just do that. We all do that to some degree. Most of us, we just ignore that person. That's not what their plan is. I mean, you look, when you start looking at, you know, arming 87,000 IRS agents, you start looking at, you know, the government shutdowns we saw during the, quote, pandemic, all these various things that they've shown their hand on what they're willing to do. The cancellation stuff, you've lived through that in Hollywood. I mean, we all have effectively, I've done it with live shows, effectively been canceled. All of this stuff that they're doing, they have nefarious purposes for what they're doing with these labels because, and again, yes, to answer that reporter's question, we are going to hear it more and more and more and more and more, just like Joe Biden tweeting, or whoever tweets for him yesterday, saying what the MAGA supporters have underestimated is the women in America. They're going to keep throwing this thing out there. And MAGA, Trump, conservative, small government, all the buzzwords are all going to mean fascism very soon.
I want them to go back to ultra MAGA. I really liked that one.
I think, here's the thing. It's not about Trump. Do people get it yet?
No,
that he was just the guy that was there,
Right.
And they couldn't make him bend the knee,
Right.
They're coming for us. Like you said, Chad, the difference is I can disagree with someone, and I'll go, okay, I disagree with you. That's it. That's fine. But they disagree with you. They want to destroy you. They want to finish you. They want you to lose your job. They want to crush you
off the map.
And we've got to understand that that is the end game. This is why they're using. I was watching a documentary the other day on Hitler, again, because, you know, I love history, I love looking back, and I think that, especially with these words being thrown around a lot, you really need to arm yourself with the facts, right? So I went back and looked at it, and just in this one documentary, you get 10 minutes in, and you realize that they call people Nazis. I know this might sound stupid because we see it online all the time, and we're like, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
But when you really look back and you see these people that were affected and the things that the Nazis did and what fascists have done in the past, it is just horrendous that we've even let it get this far. We shouldn't have it should have been stopped down. Again, it's words, and words matter. They do. I'm not saying you should feel offended by them. Words are words. But when they call you a fascist, when they call you a Nazi, you have to understand that when you are a Nazi, you can be eliminated because you are evil.
100%.
Right?
And look, take it to the elementary. Just look at the elemental things of like the internet trolls, how they come. I don't go troll pages. I don't go do that. But they troll you, they troll me, they troll her. They're there every day. They create fake accounts so they can continue to do it. I get the death threats. I get the threats of violence. I get all this stuff thrown at me all day, every day. It tells me what they want. It tells me what they want. They want me eradicated. They want me gone. So, you know, look, I don't see Benito Mussolini or Adolf Hitler traits in a Donald Trump, for crying out loud. I mean, people are just absolutely ignorant of history. You're right.
Do you guys think that, you know how in summer camp they let you, if you have a friend that's going to summer camp with you.
Where's this going?
They let you pick your bunk mates. Do you think that they'll let us do that in the re-education camps that they're going to send us to?
No.
You
I don't think they will, no.
Because I'm thinking, like, look, it's kind of going to suck, and we know what happens to us.
I've got a top 5 list.
We know what happens to us at the end of it, but, I mean, it might be kind of fun if we're bunkmates.
No.
No?
No.
Not last word. Now I was going to say something serious, and I just ruined it.
I was going to say something really serious.
Please.
No, I can't remember what it was now, but I think, no, we were talking, we spoke earlier about, you're talking about kids, right?
Yeah.
If we can't defend it, like they're already coming after us, right? So what people have to understand, again, I keep saying this because it seems so simple, but everyone wants everyone else to be responsible for it. Like they don't want to take responsibility for it themselves, which is surprising to me as Americans, because Americans are all about individuality and self-responsibility, right? You have to be in control of your own crap, right? But they're going after the kids now. They're coming after us. What is it going to be like for those kids as they grow up as our children? If we don't fight now, and this is why, people 19-year-olds clambered to get over and fight in Europe, right? Because they did it for us. They were doing it for us, and we're so selfish. This is why I say I got cancelled in Hollywood. If I lose everything, whatever, you know, I'm doing it for my kids. It's not about me.
Yeah.
It's not. We know this. It's not about us. We know that we've had great lives, and we've experienced. It's sad to say, even from the 80s till now. I mean, look at how different it is. That's why people are like. Who would have ever thought people would have been like yearning for the 80s, right? Because we were like, oh, the 80s.
I miss big hair and shoulder pads.
No, but also being able to do what you wanted to go and ride on a bike, like stay out all night until the lights go off, and you know, not wearing a helmet and all this kind of stuff. These silly little things. Yeah. But our kids, not only are they just not letting them have that freedom, they're targeting them.
Yeah.
Right.
And they'll target them even more if they stick to their principles as they get older. So we have to start pushing back now.
Yep.
So that's our responsibility, especially Gen X. Like, it's our responsibility to actually get out off our backsides and do something.
Amen. All right. When we come back, I want to share with you what the CDC is finally willing to acknowledge about these mRNA COVID vaccines when we return. Say that 3 times fast. mRNA. Alex Berenson, who thankfully is back on Twitter after a settlement between himself and Twitter, he tweeted this screenshot of a new change to the CDC's website regarding mRNA vaccines. In late July, the CDC removed the portion that previously read, the mRNA and spike protein do not last long in the body. Our cells break down mRNA from these vaccines and get rid of it within a few days after vaccination. Oopsie. So, and now please tell me in my ear, my crew in the control room, if I am overstepping YouTube bounds here, but I'm told that we are allowed to now talk about the fact that the vaccine does not prevent transmission of COVID. They did tell us previously that it did before, so they told us that it prevented transmission, that you would not get the virus if you took the vaccine. They also told us, don't worry, it's not dangerous because the spike protein just disappeared, just poof, it disappears from your body. We said, that doesn't sound like it's right. That sounds like it doesn't make a whole lot of, I mean, I'm not a scientist. Doesn't sound like it makes a whole lot of sense, but here we are again. And they're just going to revise history. And by the way, moving forward, we don't know how long that spike protein lasts in your body, but I guess you'll find out. Congratulations on being a guinea pig, I suppose.
But you're not a doctor. Yeah. But what do you know? You're not a doctor or a surgeon. And if you were, what kind of a doctor or a surgeon are you? You're not a virologist. And if you are a virologist that disagrees with it, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just, I had flashbacks to like 20 years of social media.
Post-traumatic stuff from Twitter. Yeah, I know. I've heard it all too. You know, on my Overtime, the Chad Prather Show, which you need to be subscribed to, on Friday, you and I discussed the fact that I'm smarter than Ben Shapiro. Because you're not saying it, I'm saying it.
I was going to say, we didn't discuss it in the sense that I
No, I said it. I brought it up. Because Ben Shapiro early on was saying you need to do the masks, and you need to do all the stuff, and you need to get the vaccine and all that stuff. And now he's talking like he never even said any of that stuff. I said it from the very damn beginning. Yeah. Don't do it.
We all did.
Don't mess with it. And now I'm right. So the CDC website needs to update it and say Chad was right the whole time. Put a little asterisk right there.
I'm not sure that they're going to say that.
They need to. They should. They should say, watch the Chad Prather Show for all your medical information. Because this sumbitch was right.
Well, I mean, it's sad because, so Matt, you alluded to it as well, but especially when you're talking about the government medical community, right? The experts in government, it really is not anything about health or science or data or common sense or anything other than what is the narrative that the government wants to push. Whatever it is, the doctors will push that narrative. We're not just seeing it with the COVID stuff. We're seeing it with the LGBTQIA plus apostrophe S.
It starts with 2S now. 2S LGBTQ plus A, whatever. The Two-Spirit thing, remember? They've updated the acronyms.
Two-Spirit.
Remember we talked about this because Canada is now dedicating
yes.
$100 million to making sure that their government gets the acronyms right.
What?
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. We'll talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
What planet am I living on?
Well, but that's why I'm saying, like,
they're doing
basically,
a 5-year overhaul of the Canadian government to make sure that the acronyms stay right, and that is their way of saying that everyone has the freedom to be themselves. You watch my show tomorrow night for a real in-depth on this, but that's basically what they're doing.
So really, what you need to be doing is any government expert, that whether it's the FDA or the CDC or the climate change people, whoever it is, if they are telling you something, if they give you advice, you take the advice and you just throw it in the garbage can where it belongs, because you can't trust any of it.
No, because it's all backed by an agenda.
Right.
It's all a narrative.
Right.
That's the whole thing. They're trying to accomplish something, and ultimately it all boils down to control.
Will there
all
ever
of
be,
it is about control.
Will there ever be accountability, though? Because there were a lot of people who were sold this lie that the spike button. And look, I'm sorry.
The
my
only
heart goes out to
accountability
you,
that will
but we told
happen,
you.
Sarah, the only accountability that will happen will be 50 years from now, if we're still on this planet. 50 years from now, 60, 75, 100 years from now, when they look back in history and say, that was a real stupid generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only accountability. And then it'll be the damage is done. It's too late. It's gone. But you know what? They'll be doing their own nefarious crap then.
Yeah.
You know what's remarkable to me is that multiple aspects of what happened with this ridiculous rollout, that we kind of just abandoned the way that we looked at every other virus in history, right? Just throw that away. But it was the venom in which people attacked when you said, you know what? Because what happened with me is, look, when they were pushing because we didn't know at the very beginning, right? We didn't at the very, very beginning. We didn't know what was going on. We saw that. Not that I know where those videos of the people dying and collapsing in the streets in China.
Dead,
that's kind of just gone, right?
Yeah.
But so we didn't know initially. But I got COVID in January, so I was like, okay, I'm just going to wait and I'm going to let my natural immunity do its thing. And everyone's like, take the vaccine. I'm like, I'm just going to let my natural. You got to take the vaccine. I'm like, no, I'm not going to. Now I'm just not going to because you told me.
That's
no.
right.
And then they just went insane about it.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not, it's not a normal reaction for people. You don't want to do it, dude.
Right.
Good on you. Whatever.
Right. Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You go and do it. And by the way, FBI, CIA, CDC, if you got an acronym, they're all
anything with initials.
All of the government alphabet agencies are completely written off by this program. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back.
You know, one of my pet peeves, you made me think of this, and I'm going to use this in the video.
You and I both know that you are capable of enjoying the rain and frolicking freely without filming it and then posting it to TikTok. Now, you've just co-signed, okay? You've just co-signed at least 3 million, 8.5 by 11 front and back, people who just go out of their way to disrespect and dismiss the boundaries that Black creators have set. And now you're one of those people.
Wait, what?
So I was in the truck the other day. We were on our way to go see Uncle Tom 2.
Yes.
And on the way to Dallas. And my girlfriend, showed me that video. And I was like, what does that mean?
I'm so confused.
I had to go read a story on this. Apparently, there's a thing of Black men frolicking. Like, that's a TikTok trend. I don't know what frolicking is. I don't know what kind of weird download that is, but that's Black men frolicking. And apparently Drew Barrymore, I'm just waiting on her apology.
Yeah, she should get canceled if she doesn't apologize.
Is that Alex Stein?
I feel like someone's watching me. I don't.
Who is that masked man?
He just shows up.
Who is behind
like
me?
in places like city council meetings.